Hello and welcome to my channel Java Learner. Hope you guys are doing well. And today we are going to look into the functional interfaces introduced in Java 8. This is one of very useful feature introduced as part of JDK 8. So without wasting any time, let us see what a functional interface is. As per the definition, a functional interface is an interface in which there is only one abstract method. A functional interface has only one functionality to exhibit. From Java 8 onwards, we can use Lambda expressions to represent the instance of a functional interface. What does that mean is, so starting with Java 8, any interface which have only one abstract method is called as functional interface. And these functional interfaces we can use to refer the Lambda expressions. That we will see with a practical example later in this tutorial. Okay, so let's move to the second point. There can be any number of default and static methods in a functional interface that have an implementation. Some of the examples of functional interfaces in Java are runnable and comparable interfaces. And what does that means is, in a functional interface, along with one abstract method, there could be any number of default and static methods which could have implementation or method bodies. There is no restriction on these methods. There could be no default and static method at all in a functional interface, or there could be multiple default and static methods, or there could be only default method and no static method, or vice versa. But one abstract method is mandatory for a functional interface. Moving to the last point, these interfaces are also called as single abstract method interfaces or SAM interfaces. Okay, so as per the definition, functional interfaces can have only one abstract method. So that is why we also refer them as single abstract method interfaces or SAM interfaces. Hope this makes sense until now. And let's move forward to the next slide. Rules to define a functional interface. So there are certain rules that we can follow while defining a functional interface. So the first rule is the functional interface must have only one abstract method. So this we learned in the last slide also. There could be only one abstract method in a functional interface. Along with one abstract method, there could be any number of default and static methods. So this is also clear to us. And the last rule is we can use the functional interface annotation to ensure that there is only one abstract method in a functional interface. Although this is an optional rule, but we can use functional interface annotation to enforce or notify the compiler that this interface is a functional interface and we cannot have more than one abstract method in this interface. And if we try to add more than one abstract method in a functional interface, we will get a compile time error if we are using functional interface annotation on top of the interface. We will also this we will also see this with an example later in this tutorial. Okay, so let's move forward to see some of the examples of functional interfaces. So in this first example, we have a functional interface, my functional interface, and it is having one abstract method, public void print text. So as this interface is having only one abstract method, so this is a functional interface. And on the functional interface, we can have the functional interface annotation to notify the compiler that this interface can have only one abstract method. Let's move forward to the second example. Okay, so in this example, we have a functional interface, my functional interface, and this interface is having three methods, out of which one is abstract method, one is default method, and one is static method. So this is also an example of functional interface, as it is having only one abstract method and we do not have any restriction on default and static methods. I hope this is clear until now, and now let's move to the IDE and try to understand the functional interfaces with the help of code. Okay, so I'm using Spring Tool Suite IDE. Let me create an interface. I will call it my functional interface. Okay, and I will add an abstract method, public void display. So this interface is having only one abstract method, so this is a functional interface. Okay, and we can also add the functional interface annotation, although this is an optional annotation, but we can add this also. So what is the use or what is the need of this functional interface annotation is, now we wanted to declare this interface as a functional interface, but suppose if someone by mistake add one more abstract method, then compiler will report the error. We will get the compile time error. So let's see with an example. Suppose I add one more method, public void show. So now we are getting the compile time error. Invalid functional interface annotation. Okay, so we cannot have more than one abstract method in a functional interface. So if we want to force an interface to be a functional interface, we can use @functional interface annotation. Okay, so this is how we declare a functional interface, and let's move forward how we can instantiate it or use this display method. So before Java 8 until Java 7, if we want to instantiate a interface or if we want to implement a method of interface, so we would have to create a class and implement the interface and then override the method. I'll show you how we were doing it earlier. So we will create a class, interface, let's call it interface, or my functional interface IMPL. Sorry for this mistake. My functional interface IMPL, yeah, we're good. And we're going to implement my functional interface. Okay. So now we created a class and implemented my functional interface, and now we will have to override the display method. So suppose I'm writing something, this is a display method. Okay, and now if we want to call this method or use this method, we will have to call it in a separate class. Let me show you. Let me create a class, my functional interface demo. With the main method. Okay. So now here we can instantiate my functional interface. Interface, new my functional interface IMPL, and with this object we can call the display method. And if I run this application, so yeah, we get the output. This is a display method. So this is how we were doing it until Java 7 or Java 1.7. So we need to create a separate class which implements the interface and then overrides the interface method, and then we can use that implementation class. But with the help of Java 8, using functional interfaces and Lambda expressions, we need not to create a new class to override the interface method. Okay, I'll show you. So now with the help of functional interface, we can refer the Lambda expression and we can instantiate the interface with the help of Lambda expression. So I'll show you how. My functional interface obj is equal to, as this method is not taking any parameter, so we are passing blank arguments or no parameter to the Lambda expression. Okay, now here we can do sys out. This is a Lambda expression. Okay, and now with this reference we can invoke the display method. If I run this application, yeah, I get this output. This is a Lambda expression. So with the help of functional interface and Lambda expression, so we reduced the lines of code. We even reduced one class. We need not Now we need not to create a new class to instantiate the interface and use the method. This can be done with the help of Lambda expressions with very little code. I hope this makes sense to you. I'll show you one more example. Suppose that instead of this display method, we have a sum method which is taking some parameters, or print sum, and it is taking two parameters, int a and b, and here we will be changing the implementation. Obj is equal to, now there are two parameters we are passing, so we cannot pass the blank arguments this time to the Lambda expression. So what we can do, we can sum of these two parameters. Okay, and we can here print the sum. Or we can change it to sum instead of C. And now with the help of this reference, we can call the print sum method, and here we can pass 10, 10, and the sum should be 20. So let's run this. Oh, there are some errors. Yeah, so we don't have this method anymore. So although we don't need this anymore, but still I'll fix this. Okay, now let's run this application, and now we see sum of two numbers is 20. So here we saw two examples of functional interface with a method without any parameters and with a method which have two method arguments or parameters. I hope now the functional interface is clear to you. That's all for this video, and if you like this video, please like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.